Patrick, could you please talk about the young guys? You got a lot of young guys getting a lot of reps, and just your thoughts on how they're doing, please.
Young guys, it's a young person league. You know what I mean? So, it's not any different for the other 31 teams, but I like what the guys are doing. They're putting in the work. They're learning the NFL game and transitioning from college to the pros and transitioning from having limited reps to having some more reps. But I think the guys are trying to I know the guys are trying to make the most out of their opportunity, and they're trying to get better every day, and they're learning from their experience out there on the field, which is the best coaching tool we have aside from practice.
As a defensive coordinator, when you hear people talk about how Patrick Mahomes might be playing not as good football in his career, do you kind of roll your eyes a little bit and
Yes, definitely.
tape and say, yeah, that's not exactly what I was seeing?
He is the best player in our league, period, point blank, in my opinion. To see him from his first year when he wasn't really starting until the end, and then to what he's done in his career, the way he attacks each season differently, you could see that. There's something that you could tell that he's putting something else on his plate from season to season, regardless of where he's been to the pinnacle. He's won the Super Bowl 3 times. Okay, what else can I do? You can see the deep ball in terms of that's something, not that he hasn't been able to throw it before, but you can see that they're revisiting that as a focus of their offense. And what he's able to do out there on the grass, there's nobody else like him in the league in terms of mobility, in terms of arm strength, access to the entire field, getting them in and out of plays in terms of checking the run game, getting to the right offensive play. He's the best player, in my opinion. No disrespect to all the guys that are playing, but he's the best player in our league, and we got to treat him with that type of respect.
You mentioned the deep ball, and obviously now the addition of DeAndre Hopkins to their offense. How much more does that reinforce exactly what you're saying, and how much does that empower Patrick Mahomes coming into this game?
Well, usually the way their offense is set up, you're thinking about in threes in terms of how they try to, Coach Reed, and Coach Nagy, they do such a good job of placing guys in their roles. So usually somebody to take the top off of the defense. They have a few guys that could do that, Hardman, they got 84, they have the new kid Worthy. They all could take the top off of the defense. Then there's some sort of possession receiver. Juju is one of those guys right there. Then you have Kelsey, which, again, they're trying to draw your attention, whether you're going to double here, you got double there, or you're going to have 2 doubles, or sometimes you can have 3 doubles and rush 3. But I just think they do such a good job of utilizing their people. And I'm sure D-Hop is going to come in there and they're going to find a role for him for the game. But, we're just going to have to adjust as the game goes on. But, the big thing is we kind of know how their offense is set up. Now, you don't know how they're going to deploy the people each play, and you don't know how it's going to be from week to week. But they do such a great job. I think they know their personnel really well. And Coach Reed and Coach Nagy do a great job of putting them in the right spots all the time.
When you play him twice a year, Mahomes, do you try and still find ways to surprise him, or are you trying to hit on your strengths? What's your approach?
You got to do what you do to a certain extent, but you can't. You got to be careful of giving him the answers. He's that level of quarterback, elite in terms of the mental part of it. It's no different than going against Tom Brady and those guys in terms of they've had so many reps. They've accumulated so many reps over the years. If they see it and they know, you're probably in trouble. So the point is to probably disguise to a certain extent and then fake a disguise to a certain extent. But the best thing you could do against him is, try to limit the run game. We got to do it better. Still haven't really done that the way we wanted to this year yet. You got to eliminate the run game, and then from there, defend the deep part of the field. And then when they do get the ball to their skilled players, you got to tackle them. So it all, and then find a way to affect the quarterback and affect the people trying to protect them, the offensive line.
Mahomes, when it comes to his ability to get off script and improvise, how difficult is that for defense, and what do you guys think you can do to try and force some ill-advised throws?
The main thing is trying to simulate it in practice. And, a lot goes into it with the show team. And again, it's not him and it's not their skill guys, but I'm thankful of the work our show team and the offensive coaches that coach the show team, what they give us during practice. Yesterday they did some of the scramble drills. We're going to do a scramble drill today before the start of practice. That's important just when you're doing the prep. And then as you're watching the tape, it's about discipline. You have discipline with the rush lanes. You have discipline with your deep field coverage. You have discipline when they do move and he's on the move, of getting your eyes on your man or in zone, plastering your area. So it's a big discipline thing. And then the other part is the simulation of it in practice.
Go back to what you were talking about with Hopkins. Like, I mean, obviously you know what his strengths are. You've watched plenty of him. You know what they like to do and how they like to deploy guys. Do you try to, guess what they're going to do? You said you're going to adjust during the game, but like going in, is it like, hey, we think this might be how they're going to use it?
You got, as a coach, part of it, as the prep is an educated guess. So it's through the film study, the history with the offensive coordinator, and the history of the team. You're trying to figure out, you take an educated guess where they're going to plug them into the offense. That's the best I could tell you on that. So it's not, I wouldn't say, working into the game, but before the game, we will have a educated guess and go from there, see what they do. But, again, D-Hop's been so productive in this league over his career. Hope he doesn't mind me using his nickname, but he's just, he's a problem. He's a problem, and he's proven producer in this league, and we just got to figure out, when he's out there, we got to know where he's at and address him accordingly.
Can you talk about Matthew Butler? Adam Butler's really taken him under his wing, mentored him. Just your thoughts of his growth.
I think he's displayed a lot of resiliency in terms of, the ups and downs of being on the roster, off the roster, practice squad, blah, 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 all that stuff like that. The growth he's made on the field, starting mainly with, young D linemen. But no matter how good they were, they were in the SEC. They were usually kicking everybody's ass for the most part because not everybody was an NFL player. And once you get to here and you're dealing with grown men and professionals who know how to block, you learn how to use your hands more efficiently. You got to get your eyes in the right place. You got to have some patience when you're dealing with 1 to 32 in terms of the backs. You start throwing off blocks too early in this league, it's a problem. There's only 32 of those humans back there on the planet. So you do that, he's probably going to win that battle. You know what I mean? So you got to learn that. But he's definitely shown some resiliency in terms of his mental toughness to get through all the different ups and downs. And then he put a lot of work in practice, pre-practice, post-practice. He's just been working his butt off to improve those fundamental elements I talked about.
You guys have been pretty good at limited yardage this year, but once teams make it down into the red zone, it's been a little bit of an issue. What do you think's kind of been missing in that area?
Got to finish. Flo used to say all the time, if you're down in the red area, something messed up happened. And that's where, again, myself as the play caller, getting us in the right call. The players, there's got to be a certain level of, resiliency that has to show up down there in the red area. It starts with stopping the run, and I got to do a better job with that in terms of getting that coached up and getting us in the right calls. And then from there, you're trying to force them to pass the ball down there, and you force them because the windows are tighter. So, again, the first thing, it starts with stopping the run down there. That's what I got to do a better job of.
Coach, as far as turnovers goes, obviously the team has only 3 this season. Is there like a stronger emphasis on it going up against Patrick Mahomes with everything that's been happening in his previous games? Or is there something-
A tip ball that goes to the D-line. Come on. This guy's the most skilled player in our league. But there's an emphasis on turnovers every week. There's emphasis on turnovers every week. And the thing is, we're praising the habit, like guys, and then, we just got to we'll get more production at some point, but I don't know if there's a greater emphasis. If you could steal possession from the Chiefs, that's ideal because they're so good at, whether it's scoring in 5 plays or they can score in 12 plays. If you steal possessions, hopefully you're taking away some points because, they're a pretty good offensive group.
You've also gone against Kelsey a lot. Do you see any similarities between him and Brock Bowers already?
The ball gets thrown to him a lot. Maybe. I wouldn't do that to Brock. This guy Kelsey's a Hall of Famer. Aside from him and Gronk, I don't know who we're talking about in terms of since I've been in the league. No disrespect, only the older guys coming at me. But I'm in terms of what I've seen, Gronk and Kelsey. 2 pretty dynamic tight ends, and that's unfair to do that to Brock. These guys got championships. They got multiple All-Pros. Brock, I know this. Brock works his butt off to get better every day, and he's made the most of his opportunities so far. But I wouldn't do that to Brock, not me.
Last one, Paul.
Patrick, with the emphasis on protecting quarterbacks, you've seen Patrick Mahomes kind of takes advantage of that when he's running down the sidelines. You saw that the last 49ers. How much of a point of an emphasis is it to remind defenders, hey, if he's live, but at the same time, don't make an unnecessary hit on him too? I mean, how fine is that line?
It's a fine line. You gotta do business as business is being done, and you gotta be smart, especially when you're dealing with the quarterback position. You know, you gotta lower your target. You gotta be careful around the sideline. But it's a fine line. But you know, it's still football, and we all knew the rules before we signed up. They didn't change the rule book, you know, right before the game or anything like that. So we're good to go. But it's definitely a fine line. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck.